Ahoy and welcome back, guys. It's LCO Week 2. We got some cool cats in here. I know the lads are looking at me like, Pike, what are you doing? But welcome back. We're so excited. My name's Papa Pike. We got Skimmy and Tally joining us back. How are you cool cats doing, Skim?
Good, mate. Good, mate. How about yourself?
Oh, mate, I'm just a cool cat right now. Tally, how are you feeling for tonight? You excited? Week 2?
I'm excited, but it's so cold, man. Like, I need some hot gameplay to heat up.
That's why I got these UGG boots on. I'm feeling really good about it. But before we get into anything, guys, let's just have a look at some fantastic little replays of Week 1 before we break down the rest of today's series.
Got him far too early as Gunkrab says, maybe I can have a crack at it, but 2 axes and he's basically dead. Sidestepping on the pebbles, Lemus is holding on for dear life as he catches the axe. And look at those blinking health bars, Tally. Praetor sees them all, says that's a triple kill waiting to happen, but the only triple happening here is for Phyton. And we've also seen just how strong Zonis is because he just run at you with the gold card, with the ghost, coming at you at Mach 10 speed and says, Katsuri, you are the focus, you will be falling down. And there's a bit of caster curse also there, Tally, because you say one thing, the other thing happens. Triple kill now for Zorinez.
It's sneaky naughty, isn't it? As I do come engage onto Mayfarm.
For it, Mayfarm is the focus, goes all that after buffering all that CEC. They turn around onto Draco instead. Now who's
the blue gun?
Unfortunately, going to fall on down. There is the blue gun, there is the Moonlight Vigil, there is the damage. They get a double kill, looking for the triple. Going golden is Zorinez as he comes out of that one. There is the triple, Rob. Get it done for the team. Put them on your back and carry. For it right now, the hook goes up, fantastic dash once again from Violet, the wave is there, looking for the shockwave, locking them all in place, fantastic knock up, there is the kill, the all out on towards Firepanther, removing the Jax from the equation. The Baron is really forgotten about, and the ticking burn takes down Hooper. They look for more, double for the Callista, make it a triple, hunting for even more right now, but unfortunately falling on down, nearly a minute for the fight. There's the Moonlight Vigil, secured however by Nox, who does get it in his possession, and Harry now looking for a fight without an ultimate, and Bio flanking, Bio on a 1v1 as they all get crowded inside that upper lip of that jungle camp. Kevy finds that first reset, and a Viego getting resets as a Viego getting excited. The Jinx is dead, they're not having fun. You get the objective, but you're about to get aced. We want everything as the curtain gets drawn. Doraemon rocks up and says, Sovereign, you have nothing. That flash, good luck. You're still dead on my screen. Once again, 225 leading line here with Cole Lee, making sure that no stragglers survive. We might be running it back from 1 perfect ace into a second. That's a nice impale, but that's about it. They've made the changes. They're feeling good about it. My man Styx there.
And Styx coming out hot there, but guys, what a huge Week 1 we've had. Tally, I have to say, if we've had any indicator as to what this series is going to look like after Week 1, this is such a big one, am I right?
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. I think there's a lot to go on about, like, what they showed last week. I think there's, like, a lot of points to prove. I feel like there was moments of greatness for, like, both sides, but it's like who can really, like, solidify what they were showing last week? I think that's the main point we want to take away this week.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that we've also seen, like, so many teams that we may have put at the sort of lower end, but feeling so good. Like, it's incredible to see, even in those clips, some awesome plays out of Ion. There was big ones out of Fury. Mate, they're looking so on top of their game.
Yeah, it looks like some of the top dogs were a little bit unrefined, right? A little bit of weakness, despite them winning in convincing fashion in the end. I think certainly these first few weeks, where usually you would say things a little bit up in the air, definitely an opportunity then for the teams, as you highlight, like Ion, for example, to take a page out of their calendar and basically say those 3 points are no longer up for grabs.
Oh, we're going to have to see if that's going to be anything we can get today, but we'll have to see what it's going to look like. Now, Tally, do you have any sort of insider tracks? Do you think there's anything cool that we might be expecting today that we might not get a chance to talk about?
Not too unsure about anything that might pop up. The one good thing is, like, we have seen other regions start to play now, so, like, a lot of the teams will be like, okay, the priorities that we've been focusing on are being shown overseas, so, like, that's something that's good. We're on the right page. And then maybe there was a few champs where people were underrating them a bit, and now that they've seen them overseas, especially like in the LPL, they might put more priority on that. We might see those picks pop up more. So I have to see what these teams want to prioritize and, like, what they're feeling going forward.
Now, I believe, Skimmy, we have a bit of a patch check-in. Is that correct, what we got coming up in just a second?
We do indeed, mate. I love my stats. Some would say that I am a pre-game analysis. Nothing. That's what I have Tally here for. But leading into it, I love to see just how players are doing and sort of just across the board.
We're just going to have to wait and see if production's going to be keeping up. But I guess, is there anything you've seen out of the ordinary here, Skimmy, that you thought was quite good, especially from last week? Anything that you sort of off the top can mention?
Off the top, I think, yeah, it was just a whole bunch of Jinx, Cassante, Aphelios on repeat, right? It was very much like I felt like we'd just gone back a few seasons. Same old, same old. Yeah, I'm curious, much like Danny mentions, right, if we're going to start to see the inspiration come through once again from overseas, where we see a pick say, that looks great, we play it, and it either sinks or it swims, right? It's never usually in between. It's a blindly copy-paste and pray for the best.
Got to pray for the best, but we do have a schedule we need to look at. So let's just take a look at before we look at those little patch updates. And let's see who's going to be playing tonight. We've got Antic Esports up against Fury straight off the bat. First games off the series too. But Direwolves versus Mammoth. Now, we all have quite a bit to touch on about these series, but I guess we're going to talk about Antic versus Fury as the main one. These guys just looking so good, both teams. I'm really keen to see how it plays out. But Tally, do you have any thoughts on this first series?
Yeah, definitely. I think that Fury is a good roster. It's really good to see that they stuck together. They do have a very hard start to the split, so we have to see like if they're able to take some points away from these top teams. I think Antic, on the other hand, is one of our like contending rosters. I think they had a good showing in week 1. A lot of like weak points to work on, but it's good to see that each strong like top team has their own identity. And Antic really has that like team cohesion. They know how to win games, but you know, will they be able to like lock in and make sure they don't have those messy games anymore?
Yeah, it's pretty kind of interesting if they can hold off those messy games, really sort of clean it up and get us through. But let's have a look at this little patch check-in that we were talking about here, Skimmy. Let's take it over. Run me through this.
Yeah, so just sort of looking at what we saw here in the LCO, being the first region in the world to play full Team 10, we saw our top 3 champions, sort of what I was mentioning before, right, with Cassante, despite the nerves, gets a nice little touch-up based on the fact that all these AD items are being reworked as well. So no surprise there, Cassante still being locked in as the top dog. We absolutely love Nautilus down under. Gives you the priority to be aggressive not only in lane, but then to leave your laning partner. If they're a solid, strong AD carry, you then get to impact the rest of the map. And Jinx, certainly going to be at the top of the charts now, where AD carries are just so strong. You see it in terms of Caitlyn, you see it in terms of Jinx. Obviously, Corki now as an AD carry as well. We've seen that flexed. It was our most banned champion. It had the highest presence, 100%. Every single time it's either pick ban, because we've seen it just do so much work. The big surprise to me, though, is just how strong the Jhin was, right? Finishing with a KD of 26. Obviously, Lemus helped bolster it up a fair bit. We had Styx amongst that as well. They showcased us that, yeah, obviously going from 20% to 25% crit has allowed him to spike just a little bit earlier, be that much more of a nuisance, and in many cases, outrange the opposition.
Yeah, no, it's pretty hectic. And Tally, we're looking at the other, like, the Champ's presence. Like, it's such awesome presence as well. But the top KDAs as well coming out of Jhin, Hui, Rakan. Was there any surprise to that?
Not really. Like, it's kind of telling, like, these really long-range safe champions have high KDA. Like, it's really hard to, like, you know, fall over is like the Jhin and Hui. You're playing from such a long range away. And, like, the Rakan, it's very easy to go in and out and do your job. I think that it's really telling the champs we see on our screen. A lot of it's just like, oh, these are like kind of the OP champs we see from solo queue, and like teams would probably scrim with and verse these champs and like get a feel of like what they don't like versing. Like we didn't really see much Caitlyn being played, but the presence it's showing with a lot of bans is telling that like this champ is probably a very big problem in scrims. It's been dominating in the bot lane, so I have to see if like teams decide to pull it out.
That's it. We'll have to see what they're going to look at, but talking about those scrims, well, let's have a look at the Week 1 winners and break down what these top-tier players have been looking at. And I'm sending this over to you, Skimmy. We got some pretty big scores on the board there. Wow.
We certainly do. So yeah, I sort of wanted to touch on 4 different categories to highlight, you know, sort of the difference across the board as to how people performed and, you know, showcase their skills, right? So in terms of series performance, none other than Styx, right? Finishes on a 29 KDA, single death across the entire series, as is the same for Doraemon. I think it's a phenomenal way for them to showcase that we've made that roster change, we've stuck around, and that, you know, we deserve to be at the highest points, you know, in the league, right? Obviously, Incursio comes into that roster, maybe a few question marks around how he'd, you know, fit in with the rest of the team being fairly stacked and being a finalist in Split 1. He comes at the gates and showcases there's more to life than just playing Katarina, dropping a 16-27 performance. I think the big standout for me, massive canyon, you know, in terms of the goal difference. Lemus's goal difference is 15, second to none, right? Up by 5k. His nearest teammate, Fido, new mid laner, at 1k. It's phenomenal. I mean, absolutely the bot laner to watch right now. And likes of Raze and so on are going to be looking at that and thinking, okay, we can certainly look to try and match you on that one. Obviously, KP, certainly another one in terms of how active you are on the map. Obviously, Harry doesn't have the most explosive, be it laning or series performance, but he was central to Bliss in making sure that things would work. And the same could be said then for Sovereign. Brand new to the league, a rookie, came in, and same again, right? Everything sort of ran through the highway through that mid lane. Lastly, for me, damage percentage. Despite Katsuri and the Direwolves losing, he's a leader, he's confident. He never seems to be one to show too many emotions or tilt, even in losing positions. Even being down 10k gold, he was doing nearly 35% of his team's damage. So the likes of him, Jovi and Curcio, all-star carries, all-star players, and hoping to see the same in week 2.
And then what's really big there about that as well, Skimmy, is we're seeing 5 different teams on this board. Does that sort of give you, or at least our viewers, an indication of how close this whole competition will be this split?
I think yes and no. Obviously, it's very subjective to the statistic it's based on, but I think it shows that rather than highlighting just carry stats all day, all long, you can say like Lemus is the best player or so-and-so is the best player. I think it gives you this very well-rounded picture that, you know, even if you're 0-2 or even if you are on a more lower-end roster, you can excel in a certain category and you can show just how much you're putting into that roster, how much work you actually provide.
It's such a good thing to do. I can't wait to see how these teams are really going to start stepping up these numbers. Again, it's going to be hard to catch Lemus up there, but we have some from the fans. Let's check it out, because we had an awesome response rate for this one. It was absolutely fantastic. Which OS player would you add to the Hall of Legends? And we got some pretty nuts response. Like, I know I put mine in. I'm pretty sure Tally Skimmy put theirs in, but let's have a look at the very first one right off the bat. We got the Papa Smithy, hot off the bench coming. Think you'd want to recognize OS player who did outstanding in OS first, so you'd want to go for Radier. The Radier medal was a nice touch of recognition. If we want to zoom out to accomplishments outside of OS shores, FBI and Fudge would be first ballot OS Hall of Famers. I couldn't agree more, Tally.
Yeah, definitely. If you go all the way back in time to, you know, the first iteration of Chiefs, which was the most dominant roster OS has ever had, and Radier being the player that everyone looked to back then, like he was always rank 1 multiple seasons in a row. He was always the best player on his team. And there's a reason why, like, the MVP medal in OS is called the Radier medals, because he was the best player. So, you know, like, nominating such a star caliber player to go into the Hall of Fame for OS is a good call. So, like, I would agree with that one.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely have one more as well to come up for you guys, and we'll save a couple more for later because we are quite excited to share as many of these as possible. So let's get that one up and say it's from Rusty. Rusty will say Radier without a doubt, #1 slot, Swiffer #2, Swiper #3, and then Chuchas, Spurgs, Carbon, Ejim all below them. Modern Gen is Fudge, King, Bio, and Babib. That's a huge list. Is there anything in there, Skimmy, that you would put above the rest?
Yeah, I think he's actually missing somebody to my side here. This guy's pretty good at the video game. So we add that one on there, Rusty, and then you can come back on the cast, and he can go back in. He can win another title. Yeah, I figured it all out.
That's so. Is that next year, 2025? But no, we don't want to lose Tally though. Tally's so good right now. Like he's in his peak. No, he's not even peaking yet. But no, still awesome little response rate. We can't wait to share even more of those with you. Oh, I think we just have to go straight to a break. I'm too excited for it. Let's see what's going to be happening. Is we're going to take a little short one. Antic versus Fury coming up. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
We just living it up, I love it, we got it. And we've been getting lit up, don't ask me why. See you back.
Skimmy's after becomes Severus. Falls down on the stopwatch. It's carnage. They're all charmed at his command. Oh, Kaboom! It's do or die.
And here we are once again, ready for the first series of the week. I'm so pumped for this one. I know Skimmy's feeling it, but we're all feeling a little bit cold. I think, is anyone else out there getting the chilies? Like, I'm feeling it. These Ugg boots aren't doing enough. I might be grabbing a jumper later on, but Skimmy, you feeling a little bit cold?
A little bit cold at the moment, but that's okay because this is all tactical. Because the game's going to be fire. Afterwards, I would have actually just taken that jacket off. So I'm just, the calm through the storm, getting myself all ready and warmed up.
Oh, like while we're getting warm up, let's have a look at our first roster. We're looking at Antic, home team tonight, looking to just break ground and keep that streak going. And Tally, this team's looking good, but they've got a couple things they could improve on.
Yeah, this team is definitely good and one that we consider contenders. They definitely do need to work on like the ability to close out games. I think they're a very, very good team, if not one of the best at generating leads and knowing how to win. I think that like goes into Raze. Like I played with him in the past and he definitely knows what it takes to win games and how to play team fights. So he's a very good leader in that sense. I think Antic just needs to, like lock down their mid and late game just a bit better and to make sure they don't throw these leads that they keep generating.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that plays out, but also they've got that Incursio, their new mid laner as well, Skimmy, where we've got some high hopes for this pretty fantastic player who's had a fantastic showing so far. We're expecting a good showing again tonight.
I would really hope so. Yeah, really would like to see two things, actually. Back-to-back performances have been a bit of a week one winner, but also maybe a little bit of Katarina. Let it through, Fury.
Oh, let's get it. But Fury is up on your screen right now. Let's have a quick look at these guys as well. And again, these guys have played so well. Thomasino and that Cassante, Skimmy, is looking fantastic.
He certainly was, yeah, in that game, one up against Biopenthers Jack, certainly nullified a lot of his impact in the game, which is really what you want to see, right? Him going toe-to-toe with some of the big dogs in the league. Obviously, the second game down and out a little bit with the Vayne counter pick, but kind of to be expected, right? Cassante right up there as the most picked. It's got the most answers to try and shut it down, but across the board, looking to try and see what they can do to try and upset the balance here.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see if they can do it, but Tally, is there anything? I look at this bot lane as well, and they've been pulling out some pretty big stops. I think Hooper and Findo have really sort of found their form.
Yeah, they were definitely doing a really good job, especially in the second game against Bliss. I think they finally like bounced back on that first draft they had that was a bit too, hard to navigate. And, it's just a lot better to see when they pick a lot more proactivity in the bot lane. I think they're a strong lane. And they work really well with Nox, so I hope to see more of that coming out of them.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. I think, well, again, we've had high hopes on Hooper. Sort of had that, maybe that backing, not the strongest showing in the last couple splits over the last maybe year or so, but really starting to show up. So, Skimmy, I think we're excited for a couple big games here, but let's hope to see if Antic can keep that streak going, like I mentioned, go for that 2-0 once more. Whereas Fury, going to be able to take over. I said Findo because I know Findo so well. It's like, just Findo. Findo's the team right now, right? But no, but Fury's going to have to come in and really step it up. And I'm really keen to see what they're going to do. So are we expecting maybe some different picks? Because we know Fury's held on to that same roster quite for a long time. Tally, any predictions on that potentially?
I think we saw a lot of what Fury are like in the first week. Like we had those weird picks coming out of mid in the, Victor Blind picked the Malzahar. I think that Chirp is this kind of player who's going to pull out these picks that are direct counters to team comps, whereas they're not very strong in lanes. Really exciting to see like different champs pop up in the meta because of the new items we're seeing in mid lane as well. So I'd like to see this new style coming out of Fury because, they're a strong team. They kept their core roster, so like they don't really have to work on the basics anymore and they can grow in other revenues.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see that. And talking about the mid lane, we actually have Antic's Incursio joining us on the desk for a pre-game interview. Mate, welcome to the LCO. How are you feeling going into tonight? And welcome back to the LCO too.
Yeah, what's up? I'm pretty happy coming back. I miss playing pro. It's pretty fun, even though the champs aren't really what I like playing too much, but yeah, playing pro is fun.
Yeah, and welcome back. I firstly want to say, congratulations on the good performance in week one. And I want to ask your opinion, as you are, the Bible of Katarina. Is there any angle where it's possible to play as champion competitive? Like, are you waiting for a specific matchup?
No, she definitely is playable, but it's going to be pretty perfect for her. Especially, I don't think Katarina's that great right now. I think she's pretty weak compared to, like, even Season 13 Katarina was a little bit better, I think, honestly. I think she's pretty weak right now with all the sudden impact changes and stuff. So, yeah, hopefully can pull her out, but I think her rune choices have been changed a lot.
Right.
Well, you heard it here, folks, as well. So let's just get in chat. Don't ban Katarina, and we just keep spamming that so we can finally see Incursio on it. But thank you so much, mate, for coming onto the desk. Good luck in your games, and let's go have some fun out there.
Yeah, thanks. See ya.
Man,
He's locked in.
he's ready to go. He wants that cat. The tension was palpable for him.
Yeah, I think maybe he was also spamming the cat emoji like the rest of us in
Yeah.
Twitch chat.
There's too many cats. They're meowing everywhere, Tally.
Cat.
Yeah, it's almost too much. But no, I'm really keen to see. Hopefully we can get some good picks out of him. His Hui as well last week really stepped up and really showed up. So I'm excited to see him maybe pick up something a little bit different. Maybe an Oriana or something on the top there might be kind of nice into a good comp. But who knows, Skimmy? Who knows? Could be anything from Mercurio. He's shown himself on so much range.
Yeah, look, he's shown that he's not afraid to utilize a different champion pool, right? It was the way into Ari, if memory serves correctly. So, look, I imagine he's got these all under his belt. Just chooses to play the Katarina, and I'm just hoping for more assassin variations. This is what I always think about when I see certain players, right? They just fit that bill. So maybe Katarina's not too strong at the moment, but there's other assassins out there that could certainly look to try and cause a little bit of panic for the opposition.
We like panic. We like calm. We like collected. So we've got Hooper coming over from the side of Fury to explain exactly why that's so important. Hooper, welcome back to the big LCO split. How are you going tonight, mate? You're feeling locked in.
I'm really excited to verse with Jaco and Rice. They are really good players. I feel like it's gonna be really easy game for me. So I don't think I have to lock in.
Wow. Big words from you there, Hooper. I'm really excited. Obviously, you're good friends with the likes of Raze and Dragku. So what is it like for you personally? Because you came out week 1, very strong performance up against Bliss. What's changed from last split to this split?
Not really much. I think personally, I feel like I just improve. That's all. So like, that's nothing much. So I feel like I wanna gap every bot lane in this split.
Damn.
Damn.
That's
There's
the
the
confidence.
soundbite. Okay.
Damn. Hooper, mate, I love hearing that. Well, thank you so much for coming out and jumping on. We're excited to see you pop off, man. I want to see some big, nutty plays, and I want to see you just doing like a big cheer at the end of it. So, mate, good luck in your games. Go have some fun out there, too.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
So yeah.
Beautiful. I love the ambiguity of it all. It's just like, I just improved.
Men
Take
of
that
few
answer
words.
as you will.
I'm good.
I'm just
leave-
better now.
Yeah. But that's good, though. That's a bit more confidence, right? I feel like that's a bit of a different Hooper in itself compared to last split. So I'm excited for that one, Tally. Like, do you think he's, from the showing, he's in form?
Yeah, definitely. I like from the Hooper I remember in the past, like he's this pop-off carry player, and when those types of players, you know, feel themselves feeling that confidence, it's like when you get to see those performances that like define careers.
Yeah, but as well, with Hooper feeling so confident, we got to look at this sort of schedule. And we wanted to highlight this in particular, though, didn't we, Skimmy? Because Fury's got a bit of a road ahead, right? Like, they've just played Bliss, they've got Antic tonight, now it's ground zero into Ion following weeks. That's so big.
Yeah, it's brutal. It really is that trial by fire, right? So when we talk a strength of schedule, it can certainly be a positive or a negative. We saw it certainly be a bit of a positive for Ion to start off last split, right? It was a lot of the easier games. Then their schedule finished in a fashion like this. So I suppose it really depends on the team's makeup, their personality, kind of characteristics on that squad as to, do you want the harder games at the start or do you want them at the end? Maybe a bit of a blessing for them, the fact that they are the team that stuck together. So as Tally mentioned, a lot of those initial heartaches or figuring out how to work with one another doesn't need to be looked at, and you can actually really enjoy and gain value from these tough opponents. But look, we have to wait and see. Obviously, it starts tonight, it carries on next week and the week after, so jobs are most certainly on.
It's just the Fury games, the ones we have to watch. But let's look at the side selection, as we do have this one available for you to see who's going to be playing where. And we got blue side pick for Antic game 1 and blue side pick for Fury game 2. Tally, we're back to blues. There's no more splits.
Yeah, something that like clues me into like blue side selection is like I think both these teams prioritize bot lane a lot, and like we've seen with the map changes, like how easy it is to access bot lane from the blue side of the map, where like mid and jungle can just walk down, have a straight path to pretty much under their turret. So I'll have to see if like this is, you know, something that they've decided to go for, or whether it's maybe they're looking for a different first pick and that's why they decided to go for blue.
Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. I think getting rid of that counter pick, then maybe sort of, yeah, like you said, prioritizing the bot side, but maybe giving a harder time to their top side, maybe getting them on a bit more of like those just pure tanks. So do you think, Skimmy, there could be some aggressive tanks in that if they're not looking to get some huge counter picks? Is there anything particular you might want to see in the top lane?
Look, all I'm thinking is that it's almost a very similar matchup for Tomasino. Say, for instance, he goes for like the Cassante again, much like Biopanther. I think Zoranus is just going to respond with like a Vayne, a Twisted Fate, something along the lines of like, I don't really care about how this game goes. It's more like, I want to make sure that your laning phase absolutely sucks. I'm 2k gold ahead of you. Side laning doesn't exist for you. Look, I think it's a very similar matchup, and based on how well he did in that initial game in that first series, I think Tomasino's got a fair crack at it. So it could be Cassante, it could be anything under the sun.
If we get another first pick Cassante, I'll be very excited just for that one. But we do have a Twitch vote that we need to get your points into. If you don't, you're just losing out on all that opportunity because you could just be stacking dairy tonight. But get it up over there. I'm so glad I've got the right corner every time now. Get those points in. It makes it so much more fun so we can see what you've bet against and what you're looking to get those points from. I know we've got some pretty interesting predictions, and we'll have to get into those in just a second, but like, how much do you guys have now? Hold on. Since I've started back, because I started at 0 this split, I'm pretty sure I'm up to like 10 or 12k right now. Skimmy, what are you feeling at?
What am I sitting at the moment? Well, I've actually... So this is what I've been doing this split, is I keep the Twitch stream open to, accrue those points. Currently sitting at 56k. Currently sitting at 56.
But also, yeah, predictions are up. Okay, I'm the only one with the draw. Okay, look, fair enough. I'm going to let you guys justify yourself, and then I'll go with me last. How's that sound, Tally?
I was actually pretty split. Like, I really wanted to go for the draw, but it's very hard. I can't really put it past like the strength that Antic has. Like like Zarnus and Raze especially. I think like when these players are comfortable, they can definitely 1v9 games. So it's kind of hard to go past like a 2-0.
Yeah, Skimmy.
Yeah, very similar thinking. The caliber of players, the achievements they've had up against the upstart rookies looking to try and showcase their ability. I'm going for a 2-0. Would love to see it be a competitive one like the game against Bliss. If it's a 1-1, if it's a 2-0 in favor of Fury, then look, Bob's your uncle. I'll be very happy. Be exciting times.
Look, I went for the draw just for the pure fact that it was sort of that last series we saw last week is Antic was sort of struggling to close out those games, but Fury was looking so good too. Like, they were toe-to-toe with Bliss for such a long time and were playing so well, so I had to give them some dap, and I think the blue side pick, like you mentioned as well, Tally, makes it a little bit easier where you can get those pride picks in the bot lane, get Hooper feeling comfortable. He's got the confidence, he just needs the comfortability, and we should be able to see some stars rising up, so I think the draw was a good call, but I'm excited to see how it's going to play out, so we'll have to see how that's going to look. But Tally, any final little words before we get ready?
I mean, I just have like high expectations based on what we saw in the first week. I think both these teams, good rosters. I think with like patch changes, especially with like we see LPL play now, so people get a better idea of what they want to prioritize now, and I want to see some more Skarner. I think that champ's broken.
Well,
Yes, Tally.
That's, yeah, that 100%. That's good. But Hut 2, 3, 4, it's time to head over and give these casters a chance to show the first game. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much there, Pi. Yes, indeed, guys. Let's jump into game 1 of the second week of the LCO for this split. It's going to be a banger, and we certainly have our sights set pretty high for this one. Draws, 2-0s, whatever it may be, it really is. I don't want to say David and Goliath. It almost feels like you're overselling it at that point. But to see, okay, Antic had a few cracks in their armor. Is there anything that Fury can look to exploit?
Yeah, I think that, Fury, a lot of the drafts they went for in week 1 were like the very stable draft, like stable scaling, lots of CC. I think like these are the kind of drafts you want to pick against Antic, as we saw like they were getting called out a lot, and they were going for mismatch fights. I think that, when you pick that engage, you can really punish people who overstep, play a bit too aggressive, and those are the ways or the avenues you can get back into the games or even snowball the leads you create.
So, speaking of then, you mentioned Skarner before. What other champions would you love to see? Obviously, knowing what OS is like and having been a part of it and so on. And we always talk about the classic, Renekton and so on doesn't tend to fare too well because if you lose the game, it's just dead and over. And scaling has always been the default choice. But anything else that comes to mind that I suppose you can look like an absolute genius if it pops up today?
For one, I definitely want the Skarner to be in top. I don't want it to be in jungle. I think like as a top player, that champ is so strong. Like the lane pressure it creates, and like I don't really think range camps can punish Skarner. We saw like the Comet W abuse in solo queue. I think that's like, it just makes it covers the weaknesses a bit too well. And then I want to see more of the Victor. After like playing it myself, I think he's actually pretty strong on this patch. I think the game is slowed down a lot, with the, the sudden impact nerfs. Victor doesn't really have that many bad lanes anymore. I think that he's just in a much better position to scale. We saw Chirp play it in the first week, and I think that it's a champ that fits him.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe Chirp was the prophet all along, right? He knew something that we did not. I love also Fino's board there. Their game plan is just ban Cat. So let's see. Is it coming out? No, it's not. He lied to us.
Yeah, we didn't mention it last week, but I'm pretty sure he had another game plan last time.
He did. He changed it.
We got to pay attention to that one.
We'll get our weekly Findo check-in.
We're just seeing the Varus first pick again, and this is probably like Raze's champion. He probably just feels most comfortable on it at this point with like the 80 carries being gone. It's pretty hard to contest the lethality Varus against like such a strong laner. Like he's just going to constantly be able to just create lane priority. It's an engaged champ. It's long range. There we go. We see the Skarner.
We do see the Skarner, and much to your point, right, it was, the lethality ranged abuse that Raze went for, but the Skarner's come out, locked in by the top laner. Whether or not it's a bit of premonition as to where it is going or what you're hoping for, I would like to wait and see. But there's the Nautilus as well. We saw that in our top 2 for just, it is a champion that you need to lock in because it gets so much accomplished.
Yeah, and maybe this is like telling of Thomasino. Maybe he's just going to lock in his champ every single game, every single week. He's don't worry about draft the guys, I'll pick my own champ. But
That's it, yeah.
It'd be really nice to see if this Skarner did go top though. I think that like the laning strength it has is quite unmatched, especially, you know, he can bully melee champs, he can also bully range champs, which is pretty unheard of as a tank. I do want to see like this champion in the hands of a good, you know, tank player, as we saw Thomasino last week on the Cassante. Pretty much perfect gameplay from him, so it's really nice to see that this is going on to such a strong laner in Thomasino. And I do like the answer coming out of Antic. I think Skarner's weakness is when he goes in, he can't get out. It's a one-way trip. You know, Braum, very, very good into engaged comps, very good at dealing with heavy divers, disengage from the ult, and the shield to deny any follow-up onto his team.
No, I agree with you, absolutely. I mean, Skarner certainly is very committal, and if you go in, you are going to get punished. You're either taking him down or you yourself are going down. So the Cassante, obviously the Varus ultimate, the Braum with all the disruption that those 3 have to offer is pretty fantastic. But for Fury to say, well, we want to guarantee that somebody is getting locked down, there's the Hextech Ultimatum, there's the Impale. If that's not enough, you've got the Dredge Line and everything else. So it's like the disengage and the, you know, the huge range from Antic as opposed to Fury saying, we see a target, we kill a target.
Yeah, so Fury have decided to commit into the dive even after seeing the Braum. So they definitely have a game plan. They want to take down Raze. Honestly, good plan from them. They don't really care about the Braum, I guess, because you can pick so many different tools to dive that Braum can't really peel all of them. Seeing the Camille locked in, we know that's going to go into Cassante now, which means the Skarner will go into the jungle, which is, you know, unfortunate, but still a really, really strong jungler. Something that's underrated is you can't really see the Skarner, you know, the burrow coming through the wall until he pops up on top of you, which is like really hard to deal with as a laner. These unique gank paths that come out are like very, I guess you could say, foreign. Because you're used to, you know, like, oh, okay, it's 4 minutes, the jungle's going to be ganking from this position, or it's, you know, he's base, he's coming around through, like, chickens. Skarner just has these moments where you can just, like, you know, come behind your turret, appear over walls that you're not really, like, warding or conscious of, so it's just a really hard to deal with champ in a game that you're just so used to over time.
I was just going to say, to that point, right, doesn't it feel a little bit like, you know, without these change-ups with, you know, reworks and so on, your muscle memory is just so used to, well, they can only gank from these different sections, and then suddenly when something like this happens, you're like, hang on a minute, I've got to completely rewire my brain and recognize that this champion can do, you know, this and not catch me out, otherwise you can certainly look a little bit embarrassed.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that, like, it plays in the back of people's minds. This is why champs, like, we remember, like, Heavy playing Evelyn. Like, even though Evelyn isn't necessarily a strong champ, it just changes how the game is played, and that makes people uncomfortable. You don't really want to be put in that position. So, like, stuff like Evelyn, Shaker, like, a lot of invisible champions. They're just, like, too many gank paths to think about, too many, like, variables to play around. You just don't want these champions to be in the game when you could just be playing against, like, you know, something that you can see. And when you can see stuff, you feel a lot more comfortable.
You certainly do, yes. Anything that you can quantify definitely feels a little bit better than, I don't know what's wrong with me, why do I feel this way? 2 more bans, though. They've come out through the second ban phase. Double AD carry from Antic, as opposed to Fury looking to ban away some AP options. Fury then did decide to lock in with the Ashe, so even more dive to facilitate it from afar with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Antic say, all right, well, to make matters worse for you then, if you are going to be diving, how do we really want to make sure that we can punish you? Obviously, the Crescent Guard could be quite nice for denying a lot of those projectiles from afar, but also just a little bit of extra CC makes it obviously very easy to proc it with the Braum during those mid-game moments. And if they want to try and round it out with an Ahri, I think they've got a really good way of making sure that if you do go in one by one single file, they don't ever win.
Yeah, Fury banned away the Hui from Incursor, which we saw he had so much success on in week 1. So he's decided, like, I would have liked to see a Talia, but he decided to go for the Ahri, which is another really good champ into dive. Very, very hard to get onto.
Whoa!
Fury only have one option to go here. They're playing an insane dive comp. Aurelion Sol can act as a pseudo dive champ, you know, with the Sky's Descent. He's very good at, you know, following up. He's also really good into the amount of melee champs that Antic is showing. I think it's a really good 5 pick coming out of Chirp here. It's really cool to see Chirp keeps pulling out these champions a lot of people aren't thinking about. Always keeps people on their toes. But I still, as a player, I always like playing the disengaged comps. I really like what Antic has put together. I think Raze is, you know, comfortable in positions. He knows to... He's got to, you know, play his minions around him to make sure, you know, boys peel me, make sure I don't die. And I think that if he positions well, these fights would be very hard for Fury.
Certainly seems to be that way, right? I mean, I think for Fury, they've not, you know, drafted themselves into a situation, but have definitely put themselves in a bit of a timer that if we don't build a big enough lead, then our dive threat is, first of all, just not possible. We're not strong enough to execute it, but Antic can just, you know, keep toying around with us from afar, and it's going to be a bit of living hell. I tell you what, though, there's something about Chirp. We're at 3 games, 3 different characters. Maybe next week we'll be talking about, you know, yeah, with the Aurelion Sol, we've been seeing that a lot overseas. Should hope to see maybe a little bit more of this in LCO.
Yeah, actually, I would really like to see, as the split goes on, like how big Chirp's champion pool will grow. I want to see if he's going to keep playing a different champion every single week, or if he, you know, goes back to his, like, trusted champs he's already locked in. But, you know, we'll have to see as time goes on.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I'm trying to think who we've had. I think Daystar at one point was having like a different champion every single scrim or
yeah.
not scrim, stage game. So I wouldn't know the record off the top of my head, but look, I'm thinking like 15, 20 plus would be pretty remarkable across the entire split, just to show your level of expertise, right? I think, what was it, back in the day, back in Season 1 or 2, it was like, yeah, just 1 trick, maybe 2 trick. Congrats, you're a pro.
Yeah, well, back in the day, we only had 3 bans. There wasn't the 5 bans, so you would just, you know, play Gragas, you're a good player. You're the best mid laner in the world.
You can land the cask. Hey, you can actually be on my team now. You got the seal of approval from Tally himself. I suppose you briefly touched on which comp you prefer. Is that very much an OS mindset, or just, you know, from a top-down international view, you just think disengage tends to fare better into dive?
Oh, it's honestly like a preference thing. I think that if you put 2 teams of equal skill together, I think the team that doesn't have the onus on them to like engage and snowball will end up winning. But on the other hand, I mean, I didn't really touch on this, but if you look at Fury's comp, even though they're playing a full dive comp, they do have, you know, the hyper scaling carries in Aurelion Sol and Ashe who, like, if left untouched, will be unmatched in the late game, and this might be a problem for Antic. You know, they can't really match the DPS coming out of the Fury side, and even though they're playing this disengage comp, they might feel pressured to, you know, like dive into the Aurelion Sol, dive into the Ashe, take out these carries before their team gets shredded down.
Which is a fair consideration, given that last week we saw them run a similar comp, right, with the ranged Varus into a very much we want to front to back you comp. Up 10k gold, found out they were losing. A little bit of a head scratcher on that one. So I suppose there's a similar setup here where you're thinking, at what point do they think they're strong enough? Assuming, because we are saying they are the favourites in this one, that they look to try and rectify that issue, or much like Hooper mentioned, I'm just going to gap everybody. Very familiar with the bot lane of Antic. Knows them very well. Is going to be keen to showcase what he can do as we finally load into the Rift. Thank you so much for bearing with us as we get to kickstart yet another week of LCO action. Get to see, really, how close these 2 teams are evenly matched.
Yeah, and as we can see by Keystones, we have got the first strike coming out of Raze, so this means like he's most likely going to opt for the lethality. Something this means to me is that they won't really have the same DPS coming out of their carries. They're going to be much more, you know, single target focus. When you think of Ahri, you don't think of this champ who's going to like blow up tanks and just, you know, like take over a team fight if left untouched. A lot of their gameplay will come from snowballing and like finding picks. I think that like if the game goes even and it comes down to 5v5s around objectives, they will really struggle.
Is that the major concern then, as to objectives being the focus for both teams? Obviously, we saw day 1 it be a case of just fighting wherever we got the chance. Day 2, it was all about, okay, wait for the Dragon, wait for the Baron. For a game like this, which team do you think it favours? Because obviously for Tomasino, he's going to be quite keen to try and split push, but Zoranis, I mean, that is his bread and butter.
Yeah, I definitely would favor Antic, like, getting the objectives early. I think they have, like, tools in Ahri's, like, priority and, like, moving around the map with Zin's out to, like, find picks with the charm. I think that, like, the bot lane should be getting priority in the 2v2 for Antic, and, you know, moving Varus into Fog of War, like, having the Chains of Corruption, like, being able to find picks is always, like, really, really good. I think they have the tools to be able to snowball, so they shouldn't feel, like, too uncomfortable with this game, like, going, like, 25, 30 minutes. They just need to be able to, like, develop a lead, secure a couple early Dragon points, just so they're a bit more comfortable, you know, like, playing side lanes, and maybe if they mess up in the early game, you know, giving some objectives.
Well, speaking of dragons and being a mid laner aficionado yourself, how does this matchup look? Obviously, we've seen a lot of Ahri, but since the changes to this big dragon in the mid lane, I mean, what are we expecting here? Just a spam of Q to get those stacks up as quickly as you can?
Yeah, this is actually a really cool interaction with the new first strike. So one of the main things about this rune now is you make majority of your gold from the proc and not from the damage you deal. So every time this comes up, it's really easy for the chirp to just walk past the minion wave, proc his Q, get the 15 gold and back off. And this is like the old Aurelion Sol playstyle you would remember is like he would run Comet and he would just, you know, stand between the waves and just start spitting on you. And that spell just does way too much damage and you can't really, you know, trade back.
Yeah, obviously got to be a lot more aggressive now to try and get those stacks right. Can't just sort of AFK in the wave, drop your E, let them all get sucked up and just farm and be fairly non-interactive, right? A little bit boring. Maybe it would have forced, you know, the enemy laner just to try and play like an Ahri, a Taliyah, Twist of Fate, anything to try and get out a lane to be like, well, I need some action. I didn't sign up to play League of Legends just to sit here and farm creep waves all day. Bit of a pause. Not too sure why. Hopefully nothing too severe, but I guess if you're used to the LCO, you know that we love to have our internet issues from time to time. What would be, I suppose, whilst we have story time, without knowing how long it could be, what has been your worst internet outage? I mean, was it gaming related? Was it during like an actual stage game or anything?
Ooh, no, I don't think it was. I can't remember like DCing during a game ever. But I do remember just like not having internet. Like, you know, like you move houses and you just don't have internet for like weeks.
Yeah.
Like that is just pain. That was just pain. Especially like when you come from like playing all the time and then moving and just having no internet, you're just like, what do I do with myself?
You actually had to reinvent your personality.
Do I have to go outside?
Like, wait, do I really have to go to an internet cafe? Nah, I don't know if I want to do... Wait, I have to play football at... Oh, okay. It's over.
Yeah, I was actually... I do remember, like, I was catching the bus, like, into the city, going to the internet cafe for, like, 2 weeks. Oh, that was a burn on the wallet.
Oh, I can imagine. I remember growing up back in New Zealand, my high school friend, his family actually owned an internet cafe. So we'd say, oh yeah, we're off to go study at the college. Nah, mate, we're just off to go play at the internet cafe. I mean, what do you want us to do, you know? you want us to study or you want us to play games? I mean, that's essentially what got me to this position here, I suppose. So maybe it all has worked out. Thankfully, wasn't that long of a pause. So we're back into action, 2 minutes into the game. Haven't missed much if you have only just joined now. Briefly touching on that mid lane matchup. Obviously, the top lane, it's Cassante. You know him, you love him, maybe you hate him as well, based on the copy pasta. But for the Camille, it's always been that same narrative, right? The 2 items come online, now nobody wants to match them.
Yeah, the story of Camille is always about, you know, like, you're a strong champ in the early game, especially in the early game. You want to really edge out like your advantages that you can get, but it's really important that you never fall behind, because Camille in the 1v1 from behind is a really bad champion. It's always about finding those 2 items, you know, scaling up and becoming that powerhouse, because, you know, Camille's one of those champions to me that is a hyper carry. Like, when she hits those, you know, 4 or 5 items, it feels extremely hard to play against a champ. You can just, like, point and click. Like, as I was saying last week, the Cho'Gath ult. And, like, it's just very, very hard to navigate.
Yeah, it's a little bit brutal by that point. As you can see, some brutal trading in that same vein. Hookshot off the wall from Tomasino. Looking to try and keep Zoranus down very low, both HP as well as mana. Limited options for him to try and play around with here as he's chugging those potions. Maybe looking to try and bait a reaction underneath tower if this wave does crash against him again. But with both having TP up and available, it's only a matter of time as he jumps back in once more for that grass stack. Another hook shot with the last bit of mana. Tomasino has even the ghost being popped just for good safe measure. And that's top lane in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, very exciting, lots of trading going on, but he's going to TP back and pretty much maybe he'll miss 1 or 2 minions, nothing will really happen. This is the problem with top lane, is that like you can edge out these really like niche micro advantages, but in the end, like, it's very easy to navigate in the early game because of the TP. The next reset is the most important one, where we want to like see if Tomasino can, you know, continue the same thing and like maybe force Zoranus back around the grub timer.
Yeah, well, that's the talking point, right? In terms of these objectives, like the grubs, you mentioned Antic should be personally favored in that. Is that just based on the strength of the Xin and Ahri in combination compared to, say, the Skarner and the Aurelion Sol? Because in my mind, you know, the Ahri Xin, just take it every day of the week. Yeah,
the Skarner Aurelion Sol, they just don't have any synergy in the early game. Like, there's no setup really. It's very easy to avoid like Skarner's, you know, like you don't get slammed to the wall. It's very easy to flash his ult if you have to. Like, Aurelion Sol's damage is very easy to navigate, especially on mobile champs such as Xin and Ahri. It's very easy to play like the Ahri Xin 2v2. Like, one goes in, one hits the CC, people die. It's very easy to play around. When I think of Aurelion Sol Skarner, I don't want to interact with that lane as a jungler. I just want to like make sure he can play the game. That's the only time that like you should really try to navigate around mid, is to make sure he isn't getting ganked. it's really important, to avoid these strong 2v2s and not to let them snowball.
So I suppose then, talking about these matchups, we talk about the strong 2v2 in favour of Antic. We talk about how the Camille certainly can take over the game as it goes on later and later. But for this bot lane matchup, obviously you mentioned how strong of a reaction this Braum will be into Sweden. And you can see the fighter there taking a really poor trade. The only one actually taking any damage is Hooper now. Cops a bit of a beating as well. How is Hooper, true to his word, going to look to try and gap this competition if Finder's going to be constantly locked down there to try and protect him?
Yeah, Finder probably feels pressured to, like trade and lane. They're constantly getting pushed in, but the problem with like playing Norton to Braum is like whenever you go in, he can just respond with the shield and the concussive blows, and it's just so easy to trade back as the Braum. It's like, it's one of the reasons why melee supports struggle so much when your Braum is up, because he's just so good at dealing with them in lane and in team fights.
Yeah, it certainly is a bit of concern, right, as to where do we find that winning lane. Here's some of that creative path that you mentioned before, but Nox going to expire on that charge just as he gets himself across the wall. Zorinus is going to welcome 2 Mimbis into his lane and say, well, we've both burnt our teleport, our HP's both dropped down low. And there's that bit of deja vu as he is there looking to try and escort this one, but he's actually just trying to bait and buy time for Foreigner to rock up to the fight, so Tomasino's recall does get cancelled. Walking across Vision, Foreigner has all the time in the world to consider this one, but just out of range of the wind becomes lightning, and if he tagged that one up, you'd bet your bottom dollar that Foreigner would go for first blood.
Yeah, he definitely would have gone if that one tagged him, but unfortunately it was a bit wide. Really nice to see that like Nox is doing his due diligence in the early game to make sure like his lanes are happy, because like he knows that like scaling is very advantageous towards his team. He doesn't really have to do anything proactive just to make sure like his team can play. And as we do see a team fight here in mid lane.
We certainly do see a team fight happening as Incursor jumps in with the Spirit Rush. Now that level 6 is being ticked over to Fino low. Fino dashing, flashing over the skies that do descend. First blood found here by Antic. Hunting for a second as Nox is the focus. Draku jumping in, missing those concussive blows. Unable to tag them up and find them in that kill. But there goes Chirp, floating through the sky, looking to try and ramp everybody down, but he's forced to flash out to safety, becoming another minion camp himself. They do take out Foreigner. Nox joins the jungle camp as well. That was a very long exchange.
Yeah, definitely. Like, unfortunately, like Chirp was room there, or else he could have got a lot more. But as you can see, like these team fights or these skirmishes that are going to go Antic's favor, just because their champions are much better at navigating from these full positions. Like we would have thought that Fury had a really good engage there. Finder finds the engage onto Incursor when he's like so low. But, Braum really blocks that follow-up from coming through, and they're able to take the kill down and get out.
And so much foresight as well, given that Draku spent the majority in the underside of that river on Vision, so they were prepared for the fight to happen. Maybe not so of Foreigner's flank from the opposite end, but it has allowed them to certainly deploy into the map a little bit quicker. Yes, it's a killer piece, and there is no goal difference, but it's allowing Foreigner to walk straight over to the Grubs, much like you predicted, just based on the fact that they are a stronger 2v2 pairing.
Yeah, this is pretty much just going as we expected. One thing to mention though is like these trades, like these 1-for-1s in the early game will always benefit Fury. Like gold is just better on scaling champions. And especially the only like takeaway I would get from this is that like Chirp lost his flash and Cursor still has his, so they have a window to like find something to snowball on. They have something to play around now. We'll have to see if like they're able to communicate that as a 2v2, maybe even bring up Draku and like pull up a 3v3.
I'll be certainly keeping my eyes peeled as to when Incurstor's ult is back up and available. Shouldn't be too far away, about 10 seconds and counting. So for the Grubs to be all collected there by Antic, Nox says, well, I'll look to try and take this dragon. It is on Vision. Antic are fully aware of this, but based on their current lane positioning with the Aurelian Soul out of lane and the bot lane of Fury pushed up and aggressive, you can see that they're going to go for that one quite easily as Zorinus goes all out here on Tomasino. He can simply hop, skip, and jump away, waiting for that next Intoko strike to perhaps bring him back, but buffered beautifully there by the Camille ult, as he's also forced to burn flash to safety.
Yeah, really nice all out there by Zorinus, brings him back on the turret, so he takes like the two turret shots, a little bit extra damage, so he wins the trade. Not really going to find a kill there usually, but it's just, he's finding a window to find a reset, crash the wave. And we'll have to see if Cursor does want to come up here and dive. They don't have flash or the Hexa ultimatum on Tomasino, so I think this will be pretty easy if they land a stun.
Let's see if they can find that charm underneath the tower. Yes, they most certainly can. The orb gets dragged back, gets missed based on the positioning. So Zorinus says, I'll take that one for free. That's influenced the lane. That's a big wave to crash and no TP to collect.
Have to see if they do go for this play on bot here before we touch on the top.
Let's see if they do, in fact, go for that fight. It's a beautiful route onto Nox, so across the wall he goes. They're trying to corruption, beautifully buffering across, but the Impale! They predicted where Draco would be. The wind-up time is not long enough for him to sidestep that.
Yeah, these are the kind of ganks that you have to worry about. Even though like Raze had the foresight to ult him in the wall and try, take him out before he could find that flank, they still get on top of Draco, find the Impale, and get the easy kill.
As we do, back to mid lane we look then, so Chirp taking a bit of an opportunity to try and crash in that wave, get another
Bit of chip damage towards for a potential turret plate whilst he waits for Incursio to come back into the lane. But he will have the slight edge with that Lost Chapter, a little bit of extra region. Has picked up the Dark Seal too, 2 stacks so far. And he's going to want to make sure that if Chirp's locked in lane, he's getting AP elsewhere.
Yeah, these are the kind of plays that I want to see coming out of Incursio. Like, Chirp should be feeling pretty scared when no one's showing on the map. He should be playing to like give priority and just wait till his flash comes up so he can play a bit more aggressive. And coming off plays like that, Incursio can use his priority to like roam and snowball his side lanes, and that's what his comp wants to do right now. They want to be able to get ahead and find more avenues, find more vision, find more control, just so it's easy for them to play the game.
You saw a bit of a snapshot into that rather of both the likes of Draku and Foreigner going for some jungle roaming together, seeing what they can clear out, what vision they can ascertain. Yeah, another pause 3 in the span of only 10 minutes. Something must be going criminally wrong here. Either a net outage or a peripheral that is just not working. Maybe the setting
It's the cold weather.
defaulting against them. Yeah, look, it could be the weather.
Freezing the internet cables.
I need a pause. My internet cable is frozen and I need to turn the heater on. Look, I have no idea what the issue is here, guys. But look, you could enjoy story time with us again.
Yeah? What kind of stories?
Well, I am thinking.
What? Hold on. What? Okay, what if it was like so cold that like your PC, you were losing frames? Like you're just losing FPS because it's just too cold. Your computer can't warm itself up.
Whoa, imagine that. Your PC's actually too cold. Did you see? Funny actually, you know when you go into YouTube and you're randomly like scrolling through and up next, suddenly you end up in an area you had no idea you were meant to be at. I was watching a video once and it was like a computer that was cooled down by liquid nitrogen. They were literally making it that cold because they're trying to overclock it. And I was just like, at what point does the computer just say, no, I'm literally too cold to turn on?
Oh yeah, that's like the first iteration of liquid cooling. They would actually just use liquid nitrogen or just put it in like a freezer. I guess the job done.
It certainly does. Look, funny story actually. When my internet would drop out, like my modem would just get overheated and I would say, you know what, I'll just chuck it into the freezer for 10 minutes. Off we went again. True story. And it worked and I never had any water issues whatsoever. But we're back in for the 3rd time. So hopefully that is the last time. And we can see how this initial game comes to a head. But 10 minutes in, pretty close affair. A minute lead for Antic at the stage, but you would say I'm sure that both teams are pretty comfortable.
Yeah, definitely pretty comfortable. We see the Rylai's like coming through from Chirp, so he's finished his first major item. Like he's much comfortable in team fights.
Oh!
Did you see the spy?
Really, really nice outplay there by Zorinus. The hook shot completely denied. Drags him back, gets a second, and now that laning for the Camille is looking a little bit worrisome.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would think that's a strange interaction. I'll come back to the point in a bit as we can engage on bot lane.
Yeah, every time we talk about top lane, it's always down to bot lane as a result. The Impale onto one. Draku is the focus, but the Brom stands strong with his shield up. He does not die. TP comes in. Nox is overextended. He'll burn the flash, but Raze will match it. He's looking for vision. He'll get it with the ward. He'll get the kill. Same for Incursio. The carries of Antic are just winning.
Yeah, this is really, really nice by Antic. Fury feel pressured to make a play on the opposite side of the map because something happened top side, but they're not really tracking the TP. Tomasino TP's back to lane because he died. Zorinus is freed up to use his TP, which he has advantage, to counter the bot gank. And those are the kind of plays that Antic needs to make to get snowballed in this position.
Well, for all the moments of us saying this game was pretty close, it only took a few opportunities like that for it to break wide open. Once again, a similar setup here for the Skarner gank. The Asher unfortunately not connecting, but then a false flash from Fino saying, we will make this fight.
Yeah, this is just like classic Braum. Like he puts the shield up, he absorbs all that damage. Like you saw how much damage went to him, he gets out in the end, and like, really unfortunate as we do go into another fight.
When will Telly be able to analyze? Because it's another fight. And look at Chirp standing strong right there, saying, I'll use all my mana to breathe hot fire onto somebody. Draku this time does fall on down. And as Fana finds himself surrounded by 4, it's a sticky situation. I just said that Tomasino was out. He was done for. He's just come back with a double.
I'll have to see if Zorinus... He doesn't have access to the all out here, so I don't really think anything's going to happen. Let's see how much damage Cooper can do, though.
Just been spaced.
Not much. But yeah, this is something I brought up before about the problem with Antic is they keep overstepping, as Raze does steal the grub there, which is nice, but they always find themselves in outnumbered situations after, making good plays, and this is how they end up throwing the leads that they keep generating.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only did old teammates, you got me, you've caught me there, guys. Not only did Raze steal away one grub, he's actually done enough damage to bully Nox off the camp entirely and say, you know what, you won't get a single this game. We'll get all 6 stacks. we have the range advantage with the poke potential and yeah, just the ability to get as much gold in this map as possible.
Yeah, and to touch off on that last team fight, both kills went to Tomasino, which is really important. Like, he's picked up his rifles, he's picked up his Merc Tread, so like he's able to match Zornis in the side lane again and like just be able to scale comfortably at this point.
So everything is back to a clean slate once more, so forget about top lane, we'll leave them to have their own little battle.
No chance.
Meanwhile, in the mid, Incurio's going to look to try and break the wrist of Chirp here by doing dories all around him, but now he's surrounded by 4, you've spirit rushed into the wrong direction! And that's also Tomasino acting like a jungler saying, well, my top lane is doomed, they've done a lane flip, I want to stay top, I'll just gank mid.
Yeah, this is something really scary about laning against Aurelion Sols. Like, you can't use your CC aggressively if you're going to put yourself in a position where you can be traded back on, because he just, you know, he pops the W, he flies at you, and he starts spitting on you, and the damage that he outputs is just way too much to deal with.
We've now really just gone full PvE mode, haven't we? We just ignored laners, and we said, you know what, everything in terms of getting these turret plates in these last 15 seconds is the absolute focus. First turret now for Fury, as they open up the mid lane, but I tell you what, with Antic having all 6 stacks, I say that's fine by us, guys. If you want to try and play this base race game, we will just do it better. 1 soon to become 2, and still nobody responding to this top wave.
Yeah, so, I mean, both teams are doing what they want. Like, Antic want gold, they want to be strong, so they're, you know, playing for the turrets, playing for objectives, just trying to get as much income as they can so they can be stronger, feel a bit more comfortable in team fights. But on the other hand, Fury, they're stacking dragons, so they have a lot more time to scale now. They don't have to worry about, you know, losing a dragon soul at 25 minutes because they messed up early game. They're in a much more comfortable position. You know, like, all their carries have gold, they have items, they've all farmed pretty well, they've laned well. So they're all in comfortable positions, and I think that, you know, both teams are probably pretty happy with the game state right now.
Yeah, once again, it's a situation where both teams are playing for their win con, and one step closer to achieving just that. Saw a couple of Merc Treads come on through for the side of Antic. Obviously, you can understand why, because Fury have an abundance of CC to really look to lock you down, but that really is the difference in the setup here, right? The hard dive comp up against that of the disengage and
Chirp, get out.
Turn it around. But Chirp now has been found. He is just going to drift away through those night skies and pretend like nothing happened. Unfortunately for Draku, though, a shield is just not strong enough up against the mighty spears of that Impale from the Skarner, but it's enough to force out the flash, and the jungle right now is not safe for anyone.
Yeah, based on his like lane assignment, since we have Fury's like bot lane and mid, I want to see like how they're able to link between bot and mid. They want to make sure Chirp is able to farm safely, as we saw like he was getting collapsed on there, but it's very hard to lock down the Aurelion Sol when you don't have access to the instant CC. He's just able to fly away there. I think that Antic want to put their bot lane into the Aurelion Sol because Varus just does such a good job into the... You know, like when he's standing still, he can't really do his job clearing the wave. When we see the arrows coming out, the ults coming out, so most likely Antic will get priority on the bot side and like try to link up with Ahri in mid lane, and we'll see the reverse happening for Fury.
See if they can find a pick on to find, though. A bit of frustration trying to achieve damage on the Chirp across that lane. Did miss the ultimate, unfortunately, for Raze, but has a fairly short cooldown, so it's going to feel too upset by that one. 4 members here from Antic Strong, going to make sure that this bot side of the map is very difficult for the Aurelion Sol to function in. So across the wall goes Incursio. There's the charm, and there is the kill. The perseverance pays off. And if he was the focus, well, now that is the prize. Look how many minions are in his bot lane.
Yeah, really nice engage by Incursio there. Like, he finds the pick onto Chirp. Unfortunately, like, Chirp didn't use his flash to react to the charm, so he goes down. Most likely we're going to see the inner turret trade if they do want to go for it. Okay, they're going to go for the mid outer instead. Probably going to trade top outer unless we see a TP coming through from Antic. Unfortunately, he goes down there, but like, still not a bad position for Fury. I think that they're still getting a lot of gold and some people who want to get gold.
They certainly are. They're making sure that Tomasino is staying in top lane. Even now a fight breaks out. Tomasino showing no signs of TPing into this one. Findo getting low! The piecing arrow just not lethal. And Findo will breathe a sigh of relief after that one. But such a different style of how they want to go for this one. Tomasino being the attempt to try and get those turrets. But Antic just running their opposition around the map and saying, we're just getting turrets for free.
Yeah, Antic are doing a good job at like moving around the map and, you know, snowballing. This is something I talked about. I think they're one of the better teams at building leads and like knowing how to get gold. I think that Fury need to respect a bit more. I think that like they're playing a bit too aggressive on sides where they should be conceding. They're still getting gold from trades. It's just like Antic are playing to, you know, 2 lanes, whereas like Fury's playing to 3. So they outnumber quite a lot. And the one advantage of playing on 3 lanes is like you get a lot more income. You're getting a lot more gold on a lot more people. You just have less vision. But when you play on 2 lanes, it's much easier to pick people because you can just brute force with numbers.
That's certainly what we saw Antic do in their most recent play, but now it's Fury's time to try and change that tune around.
TP?
Draku tries to jump to safety, but then that's not going to be the case, as it is to be denied by the Findo hook. The TP comes in, the cavalry is here, the backup squad is made, as Foreigner says, my target is this dragon, take him down. The skies descend, everybody getting shuffled all over the show. But I tell you what, Antic stands strong, and they are getting it done right now. They look for 2 more. They're looking to put that nail in the coffin. Hooper's not even here the entire time. He's AFK pushing in mid lane. Thankfully, these blast cones are empowered, and they can blast away to safety.
Yeah, this seems to be the story of Fury. We keep seeing like the 4 like looking for fights when they shouldn't. They're being a bit too aggressive, and then the one person who's lagging a bit behind on tempo or like on a side lane is just, you know, getting as much gold as they can, trying to find a little bit of advantage to trade for what we've seen. As like we do go into the replay, we see Fury like being aggressive here onto the Ahri. Once again, like really hard to lock down the champion, really hard to kill the Braum. Like the Unbreakable makes him just absorb all this damage, and you know, TPs come out, Flanks come out, Collapse comes out of Antic. You know, it's just really easy to clean up this fight when you have the numbers advantage.
Just look at this disposition. People just getting pushed left, right, and centre there, but Antic just able to weather the storm and just utilise that 5v4 advantage.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely not. It's not a comp problem. It's definitely a team cohesion problem about like what they want to do in the mid game. I think they need to slow down. They need to know that like they want to scale. They haven't hit their power spikes yet. They don't have the 2 items on the Camille or the Aurelion Soul. Like Antic are power spiking right now. These champions do really, really well with 1 item. And they will do a lot worse as the game goes on. And like if Fury needs to know this, they need to like slow down the game a bit. Make sure they're not bleeding. The only thing they need to really worry about is that, you know, like the Dragon Soul. But they did such a good job getting those early dragons, so they're not worried about that. Antic's Baron pressure, really non-existent. Their champions are not good at it. They're only good at, you know, finding these picks and abusing people's mispositioning.
Let's see if they can abuse another pick potential here as they go on towards Incursio. He does have the Spirit Rush active. Charge 1, charge 2, but he's locked inside a Hextech ultimatum, so you're charging nowhere. You're dead and gone. Zoran says it's time to go all out. He is going all out. There is the double. He's hunting the triple. Look how low Nox is. Look at it. Soak it in and watch him just speed boost out to safety. But can K'Sante do K'Sante things? Here comes Foreigner across the wall. An arrow from mid lane to deny him. Where is the Skarner going?
As he falls down. Yeah, once again, like Fury are going for that dive. They're trying to like push their lead, snowball as much as possible. Like, yeah, I mean, they're abusing numbers advantage, but once again, these champs are so hard to take down. It takes too long, they get collapsed on, and they get wiped out. You see, if they do want to contest Baron here, they do have access to the Aurelion Soul ult. I think it's pretty hard, but let's see if this Baron ult does land.
Let's see what they can achieve with this one. Another TP in from Antic to make sure it's going to be a full 5v5 fight. Obviously, still members of Fury respawning. As they respawn, they TP back into the fight as well. Findo separated from the herd. The Chirp, Charm, Kenex. He's zoned out. He's dropped a 2-man ultimate, but it's not enough to find a kill, so he drifts across the wall. He's a madman. He's being charmed. He's being denied. He's failed the flash. Oh, no. It's a catastrophe, Telly. Mistake after mistake. Now they go in single file. Can they get Incursio? No. Even that is to be denied. Not a single member, apart from Drag, who falls on down, and it's just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, the one winning thing for Fury here is the Baron did reset. Like, unfortunately, they're not able to find all these kills. They still got what they wanted in the end. You know, they got them off the Baron. They still find a bit more time to scale. Like, we keep seeing Fury lose all these fights that they're... I don't think I've seen Antic start a fight yet. I think these are all, you know, Fury's going in, trying to find, like, a little bit of a lead out of something that they shouldn't be able to. But, you know, good job of them stopping the Baron here. Even though they did fall down, the gold lead still isn't that big. I think they're still in a position to be able to win this game. But we'll have to see, you know, as the game progresses. Will they be able to find more engages? Will Incursio be able to find these nice charms that keep landing?
But that is the concern for me. The big bullet point to underline is the fact that it feels like a lot of unforced errors from Fury. They're showing a lot of tendencies to want to be aggressive, but then simply falling on their own sword, being like, hang on, maybe this wasn't the fight we wanted. And Antic, no doubt, just get to sit back and profit from all this indecision and mistake.
Yeah, I think unforced errors is definitely a good way to put it. I think, like, based on like the first 3 that Fury drafted, they wanted to engage, they want to dive. The next 2 champions, though, they have to realize that like they are comfortable playing this front to back. They can be a lot more slower. They can, you know, feel more comfortable not engaging all the time and just using the, you know, map advantages to secure CS. So Steve Thomas going to go forward here.
Let's see, one ultimate for another. Let's see if you can outplay this one in Curse. You don't have a stopwatch just yet, so you will just die. That is the Cho'Gath ultimate on a basic ability. He hook shots away to safety, but is he safe just yet? Because Foreigner now, round 2, challenger number 2, make it challenger 3 as Draco joins in and says, well, you can't beat CC. Now you are finally dead and gone. You look at mid lane and Ray's agonizingly close to landing that Chain of Corruption.
Yeah, these are the kind of plays I want to see. I want to see them, split up on the map and like trying to play these 1v1s. Avoiding these 5v5s right now. They're not as strong in the team fight, but when they have access to these 1v1s, when Camille's isolated against squishy champions, she's gonna find kills. It was pretty easy. I don't think she would have won the 2v1, but really nice by Draku to recognize that like I need to cover my side lane who's weaker, make sure they're able to get pushed out so we can as a team get vision.
What's crazy for me above all else, though, Telly, is the fact that we're looking at 4 and 5 Tomasino Camille, which is terrifying in isolation. You just quickly tab over and go, wait, that's a 5-0 and 4 Cassante, piloted by Zornis. I mean, at what point do you say, all right, guys, this champion's a bit of an issue? Yeah, I'm strong, but maybe this champion's is a little bit stronger as well. Draku, unfortunately, recalling on vision. Can he get out to safety? Doesn't look to be the case. He has the flash. There is the blast cone, and he might just be able to jump across the wall to safety thereafter. So, ooh, a bit of frustration here. They burnt the Nautilus ultimate, and straight to Baron they go.
Okay, they're deciding to call the Baron here. I think this is pretty hard. Draku's deciding to stay. I think Fury should definitely play for a turn here and not to start the Baron.
See what their decision is as the skies do descend. It sends shockwaves across the entire mid lane, and they will find one initially. Tomasino has picked off Raze, who started off the Blood Affair by taking out his support in Findo. Second kill to be found, and Curcio tees up the Camille. And this is Fury saying, well, we have that advantage. We want to go for Baron, but unfortunately not getting what they needed.
Yeah, we just keep seeing these trades just always benefiting Antic. They keep finding these 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s. They're always reacting, punishing these unforced arrows coming out of Fury, but they keep coming out on top. As we do see later the Baron start, they don't have vision on this. Have to see if they do have the damage to take this one down.
Cheeky, stealthy, 2-man Baron attempt. Now to
they know now.
Free. They certainly do know now, but it's a little bit too late.
It's too late.
Just seem, because the Baron is getting absolutely eviscerated here. Antic went for the gamble. They wanted to try and deny even more time for Fury acquiring that Dragon Soul, but they say, well, that's fine by us. We'll just sneak in Baron.
Yeah, this puts Fury back in the game, definitely. Like, they are so comfortable now. This next couple minutes with the Baron, next 3 minutes, they'll be able to absorb as much CS as possible. I think they're still, honestly, if they get a good position on the map, they can be aggressive. They need to do it as a team. They need to stop playing these outnumbered team fights.
Let's run it back on the replay once again to see how it all started. Initially, it was Draku getting caught. He stuck around, and then Fury wanted to re-engage.
Yeah, Findo really goes in as much as possible. Raze feels pressured. The hook shot coming out of Tomasino, so he's forced up to the sideways. Really easy to pick him off. I think the overchase here is it's very easy to punish. Zornis having really good TPs the entire game, and I don't really think they can deal with that champion right now, so it's best to try and avoid Cassante.
I think that would be a wise choice, Tally. A very wise choice. He's just picked up his third item in the Jack show, so incredibly durable at this point in the game. But for Fury, it's been a tumultuous game one. All over the show. Are we winning? Are we losing? Are we back in the game? Well, we certainly are now with the Baron. So they say, you know what, Skibby? We're going to force another fight. Blast Cone sends everybody all over the show. Forward a flash in, saying, I know the target I'm after, and I'm not afraid to go for it. Flash is being burnt in. Disengage. And Antic, once again, are able to get the numbers advantage. I mean, you can see Tomasino flanking on the end there, but he wasn't able to find the target, nor the timing to make matters worse.
Yeah, this is one of the interactions we've seen a lot with Aurelion Sol. His damage is insane, but, the Xin Zhao ult comes out and blocks all of his damage. The wall comes out of Braum, and he just can't do anything. He's trying to do as much damage as he can, but he doesn't want to walk into the Xin Zhao ult. He doesn't want to walk into melee range and output his damage because he's just so susceptible to getting killed there. Fono absorbs so much damage, blows Chirp's flash, makes him disengage out of the fight, and still lives himself. So he's really, really good from such a nice engage coming out of Fury. How much work Fono put in there to make sure that was, a positive fight for his team.
Well, Tally, let's talk about mid-game. Obviously, this was one of the big bullet points for us as to what we want to see Antic improve on. They're up by a slim margin at this stage. We did mention that Fury, as the game goes on, scale better and better. So do you think this game is still, anybody's at this point?
Yeah, it's definitely anyone's game right now. The main things that I think about in mid-game right now is the fact that Inkosha is solo AP for his team, and he's playing we call him an assassin mage, not really outputting much AoE, not like that Orianna Azir pressure in team fights. The fact that he isn't farming too well, he doesn't have many items at this point, he isn't really going to be able to output the damage. So we might see Nox feeling as tanky as Zornis is right now, because a lot of the damage going onto him is coming out of these single target Varus, Ahri, he's not getting blown up. Whereas on the other hand, Zornis may be insanely tanky, but Ashe, Aurelion Sol, Camille, all really good at killing tanks.
Let's see if they can find a fight which would be favourable to those conditions, because they certainly have been fairly quick and disjointed sometimes even numbers mismatched. So we've not truly seen a proper 5v5 in what feels like a bit of an eternity now. But they are going to group up again, looking to try and constantly pressure these side lanes, force Antic to be the ones to break apart their squads, and not be allowed to utilize their numbers advantage. Antic do have double the kills right now, but certainly not double the economy. Up by 1,000 is the margin, and every single time we see something on the map to go for, everybody it just swarms upon it, descends like a full 10-man squad.
Yeah, like as you mentioned it, like side lanes, I think that's the big thing right now. I want to see both teams using side lanes a lot more. I think we're seeing pretty much everyone, converge on every objective on the map right now as much as possible, whether it's like jungle camp, or like a red or blue buff, or like even, I would like to see them group for the actual objectives. But during that downtime between, the dragons and the barons, I want to see Fury especially prioritizing as much farm as onto this Aurelion Sol, get as many stacks as possible. I want to see Camille in the side lane always playing for flanks. I don't want to see them grouping. I think 5v5 front to back will favor Antic if they're able to find a nice barrier assault into poke. But when they have these flanks, when Thomasino has access to finding rays from a flank, those are the times when Fury's comp will shine.
Let's see if they can find that situation, because right now we are in a 4-1 split with everybody panning towards the bottom half of the map, given that the dragon is up in about 45 seconds now. Thomasino feeling inspired, feeling strong, feeling good to go, but Zoran certainly wants to entertain that idea. Instant flushed away to safety. There is the Winter's Bite. There's the arrow, but only taking out one. Hextech ultimatum locked in place. Thomasino jumps in, jumps out. Church absolutely destroys the ground in which they stand upon. And just like that, Fury find 2 easy kills. And this is what they signed up for.
Yeah, these are the fights we want to see. We want to see them abusing, Camille in that 1v1 is really good, so Dracu feels like he has to collapse here. We see Nox going in even more. Will he be able to find the entire team?
Gonna find it, yeah, Charm, but he gets stunned in place there by Fauna. A 3-man depth charge, knocking up everybody. Antic scurrying away, splitting themselves apart. And Cursew down the next one on the chopping spot, and he gets taken down there by Thomasino. Rays from afar, he can salvage a double kill, but even at 8-1 and 3, he's unable to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, we see Dracu going down to assist his top laner in the 1v1. They want to try to find this 1v1, but I think it's a really good job by Thomasino to go back in and, bait to the limits, pretty much. His team will always collapse first. We got the Aurelion Sol, semi-global pressure, which is really good to see, and, Xana going through walls. His team will always collapse first, and, from these positions where you can't really get a good read of where the enemy is, Aurelion Sol's a really good champion. He's able to cut off chokes. It's really hard to follow up, and it's just a good good gameplay to see out of them.
It is some pretty good gameplay. They're going to find themselves their third dragon. Straight across the wall goes Thomasino and says bye-bye to Rage. You can't do much about that one. Flash cleanse. Doesn't matter. You are just removed off the table with a 3-item Camille coming at you and 0 peel to your name. This game has become a whole lot scarier now. Tally, for the first time, Fury actually picked up a gold lead.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the game is comfortably in Fury's hands now. It's very hard to win this front to back. I don't think they have the same backline threat, the same DPS, the ability to shred front lines that Fury has. The damage just isn't coming out of them, and I think as Raze, even though he's so fed, it's so easy for Thomasino to just, find him in a 1v2, 1v3, and just take him out.
And I think the most crazy thing about this all is the fact that we mentioned literally moments prior that Fury have been forcing so many unforced errors. They've been going time and time again, but it's almost a case of repetition. They just said, one of these fights will work, and then it did at this late point, 30 minutes and onwards. So there's another Baron, now we're on Soul Point, and now you really are concerned. Well, we're not winning fights anymore, we're not winning the side lanes. What is our avenue back in as Antic?
It's definitely finding that we keep seeing Fury go to multiple lanes and splitting up. I think that if they play as a group, it's very hard to get back to the game, but if they split up, I think that Incursor especially will be able to find picks and make his team get back to the game. It doesn't really matter on to who at this point. I think that finding any kill is a good way to get back to the game. You see if Fino falls down here. Nice sidestep.
Yeah, in case they're looking to try and get the charm as they found that initial bit of damage on towards Fino. He's able to get away, so all 5 Baron buffs have been preserved. And still with, a healthy 2 minutes left, they have all the time in the world to try and set this one up perfectly. With all 3 lanes having crashed on in, it's certainly a happy time for them to feel that they can, I suppose, take away game 1.
If Nox does get caught here, I think it'll be fine. But we do see the death cap coming out of Church, which means Aurelion Sol is online. He should have enough stacks to the point where his E is it's taking up an entire lane. We see the size of it. It's very hard to play against Aurelion Sol at this point in the game. If you're a low range melee champ, the amount of slow and crowd control coming out of him it's very hard to ignore.
Yeah, the Rala is also going to be putting in so much work. You're slowed, you're burning, you're pretty much getting one shot thereafter if any other skill shot connects. I'm also terrified of Tomasino. He's full build. He's got the Guardian Angel, so that's why he's chasing in with a reckless abandon. 1v5, waiting for the team to come on through. There is the Impale, there is the first kill, and that's finally GA is being popped. Now Chirp rocks into the fight, so it was a 4v5 before, but he just absolutely stun locks two members in place, and they just wait for cooldowns. And once they're back up, it's just another kill, another day, and another moment for Fury to defy expectations.
Yeah, it's just as easy as that. The gold lead is just, it's not as big as the game difference is right now. I would probably give this like a 15,000 gold lead from how hard it is to play for Antic at this point. Tomasino engages with his body, he lets the enemy team dive onto him, and Chirp's not even there, the strongest member on their team, and they still easily win that team fight.
Well, so the demons of last week for Antic here, coming back to bite them once again, because for all the good work in the early game, as soon as that late came panning around, Fury take game one.
Yeah, I would put this down to, you know, Fury having a really good game plan. I think that, like, they were very greedy, but a lot of their deaths were happening on the enemy side of the map, so they got away with a lot of their scaling. They hit their breakpoints, and, you know, they came online.
Well, doesn't that really up the ante for what could be a crazy week of games here? Fury, the only team to stick together as a full five-man squad in a strength of schedule of hell. They've taken game one up against one of the heavy hitters. Let's see if they can take game two right after this.